Hi friends, welcome to LifeStream Live with Angie. Today we are here with Diane Dove, who is the Community Outreach Manager for the Better Business Bureau of Central Indiana. Thank you, Diane, for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me, Angie. I appreciate it.
I know it took a little bit of time for us to connect and try to get our schedules together, but I'm excited though that you're going to be doing a presentation today for us, and I believe it is what you called it, the 2020 BBB risk report. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Well, if you are ready, we can go ahead and move on to you sharing the presentation then.
All right, thank you. So I'll just go out, start by saying that for those that aren't real familiar with the Better Business Bureau, we are a not-for-profit organization, and there are no charge to the consumer for our services. So you can use our website, give us a call, use our complaint processing options that we have, and it's all for free to consumers. And we are supported by the accredited businesses that believe in the mission of the Better Business Bureau. So they do have to meet our standards. We review them to make sure that their advertising is honest, that they're responsive to complaints, there's no serious government action. So we do continue to monitor them once they come on board, but they are supporting what we do in the community. And part of that is supporting our community outreach and our consumer education. So that is what we're going to talk about today. BBB offers a thing called Scam Tracker, which is through the website, and that can be accessed either through bbb.org, and then you can scroll down and go to Scam Tracker, or you can go there directly at scamtracker.org. And that is a place where you can actually report being exposed to a scam. You don't necessarily have to have fallen for the scam or lost money, but you can report that you got that call or that email or that you saw something online. You can also see what has been reported. And what is really nice about the website is you can target down to your exact area to see what's going on in your town, your neighborhood, as far as scams being reported. And we show demographics, age, scam types, and then you can actually read what the people, because we don't type this stuff in, it's consumers that are typing and giving us the narrative. They read just like little stories. I got this call, or this man said this, and it really does help you realize how scams are perpetrated when you read the stories from people that have reported these. So it's a great tool to either report or to read and educate yourself more about scams. So through the Scam Tracker, BBB comes up with a yearly risk report where we look at all the information that was compiled through the year and come up with a list of the riskiest scams. So I'm going to share my screen right now and have some slides for you. Angie, are we good?
Yep, we are seeing it.
Okay, great. So actually this risk report just came out about 2 weeks ago, I believe it was. And as you can tell from the title, online scams rise during COVID-19 pandemic. Not a big surprise to us, but we'll dive into this a little deeper to see what all we know about this. You still see it?
Yep, sure do.
Okay, bear with me just one moment. Okay, I think we're good now. There we are. Okay, sorry about that. So, talking about scams, no one obviously wants to be the victim of a scam. Mostly for the dollar loss. But what happens when you are a scam victim? It hinders trust in the marketplace. So that basically boils down to, once you've been a scam victim, you're going to be a little hesitant to trust people online or through a website, which is really important right now. As we know, being quarantined and having to stay home through COVID, a lot of us have had to go to buying things online, through websites or through social media, whether it was, groceries or PPE or whatever it might be. We rely on the internet so much here in the last year or so to continue on with our lives through this. And while things are loosening up, it's probably a trend that we're going to continue to, live with, as doing a lot of commerce online. So it's important that you trust who you're doing business with. And when you are a scam victim, not only have you lost the money, but you have lost that sense of trust that can really hinder you going forward as far as, completing things online. There's just so many things, forms. I know I need to get some, my first, or my wedding certificate, marriage license. There we go. And you have to request that online. Used to pop in, pay your little fee, and they get it right then. But just like many things, everything's going online. So we have to be able to trust who we're going to, who we're giving our information to. And again, being a scam victim can really hinder that. So the scam tracker does empower people to avoid scams. Like I was saying, you can go on there and see what is hitting in your area and who they're targeting. Moving through ahead to the risk report, let's dissect what we have. In this report, it looked at 46,575 reports that were reported to the scam tracker, and that's United States and Canada. And just a snapshot of those reports, nearly 1 in 2 people noted a financial loss, and that's pretty high. And the median loss is $115. Now that does probably sound like a lot. That's the median. So we had people lose thousands and thousands. We have some people lose 20, 25, but sometimes these people are losing 20, $25 at a stint, have lost that several times before they figure out they're being scammed. So it would be an individual report. So while the average report shows a smaller loss, collectively it can show it could be much greater loss. So if you look from 2018 to 2020, there was a 33% increase, even from 2019 to 20, in susceptibility and in the chance that you're going to fall for a scam. Now, the monetary loss went down a little bit, but there's a lot of things that can go into that. But a lot of the online scams last year that were reported were for smaller items, PPE, some grocery orders, maybe some clothing, things that weren't outrageous when we look at other scams such as investment scams or home improvement scams. Sometimes those get into thousands of dollars. But since the majority of our scams last year were online purchases, that's why that ticked down a little bit. But again, if you notice, the susceptibility really jumped up. So what does that mean? For a risk report, what we do is we look at how likely are you are to be exposed, which last year, more of us being online, we were much more exposed to scams than any other time, really, just because, we constantly had our computers, our cell phones, our iPads right in our face because, it was just a different time last year. And then we looked at the susceptibility. What are your odds of losing money once you are exposed to a scam? And then what is the monetary loss once you do lose money? So those 3 factors we use to rate what are the riskiest scams. Now, before we go look at that list of what those scams are, we also look at the non-financial impacts of scams. And again, as I was saying earlier, nobody wants to lose money to a scammer, but it's more than the money. If you look at what our victims of scams told us, 63.7% of scam victims said they lost time. But here's where I want to live, the one next to it for a moment, at the 52.1% lost confidence or peace of mind. Now that is a big one. Sometimes it's not the $25 that you lost. It's the knowing, how could I have fallen for that? Or needing to feel like, particularly with seniors, they don't share that information, particularly with their family, because sometimes there's a perception of, if I share what happened to me, I could lose my sense of independence. Because, if my kids know I got scammed, they're going to move in because mom's losing it, and we need to, start taking over the finances and, talking about POA and all that stuff. So many times that is, even if it's only $25, it's a heavy weight for people to bear once they've been scammed, because they doubt themselves, and it's just, there's guilt. They question, sometimes their ability to move forward as far as handling their own finances, because they beat themselves up a lot for that. So this is a big one that I know that drives me as being the community outreach. Lost time, a lot of us have time on our hands. A lot of times it is $20 or $25, but it's that lost confidence, that peace of mind that is so hard to get back. And then 36.5% lost personal information. And that's a whole other story. Once you, give out your personal information, we all know what can happen with that. Moving on to, what are the riskiest scams for last year? Online purchases went to number 1. That was up from number 3. And you can see the top 10 here for last year. And if you look at the top 3, it's, mostly COVID related. Online purchase scams, we had to do more commerce online. Employment, people lost jobs, something awful. And, it's still a problem for many right now. So employment scams, well, number 1 last year, and that's always a big one. Sank to number 2, but it's still up there. And then the fake check, because a lot of people were desperate for some income. And even if they didn't lose their job, they had extra expensive, maybe childcare because the schools were closed, or having to buy PPE, or, there's just different things that go into that makes us feel like we need some extra money. And the fake check scam was really rampant last year. And then we have these other things that look, romance, especially for seniors, is always one that we try to talk about, because it is so prevalent. It's amazing to me, the thousands of dollars that people lose, and they still can't be convinced that they're being scammed. That's the really sad part of it. It's that hope that it's real and it's legitimate, even thousands of dollars later. And sometimes that's really hard to convince people. So we have publications on almost all these things. If you want a report about romance scam victims, tech support, travel and vacation, advance fee, fake check, just almost all these, we have a publication. So if at any time you want some more information on this, for either for you or somebody that could benefit, shoot me an email. And I'm going to share my email with you right now. It's D for Diane, and then Dove, DOVE, like the bird. So DDove at indybbb.org. DDove at indybbb.org. And you let me know what kind of publication you're looking for. Like I said, we come out with stuff all the time. And I can even send you this risk report, because it gets into some, it's, I don't know, 30 pages long or something. It tells a lot of stories, has a lot of statistics. And again, the more you know about scams, the easier it is to identify them when you're exposed to them. So it's a lot about educating yourself on how these scammers work, because a lot of them work the same way. They have their twists and their turns about it, but fundamentally, a lot of them work the same. It's the rush, it's the pressure, it's the, hurry up and try to make a decision. But yeah, we have reports on all these that I would be more than happy to share, and I can email that to you, or we can stick them in the mail to you, whichever you prefer. So going down to the next slide, online purchase scams were particularly risky due to our habit changes. Just what I said, 43% spent more time online due to a pandemic, and 57.1% purchased more online due to the pandemic. So it was just strictly exposure and need. We needed to purchase things online, and scammers knew that, and they took full advantage of it. So here's something you might find interesting. Of the online scams, pet and pet supplies are the most risky online purchase scam category. 70% of people that were exposed to this scam lost money. That's high. That is really high. And the median loss is $750. We have a report on this too that I can send you, but in a nutshell, basically what an online scam, pet scam is you go to a website or you're Googling, I want to buy a poodle. Or looking for a poodle, or however you Google it, and there's all these websites that pop up. A lot of these websites are not legitimate. They have all these pictures of these animals with these descriptors. They make it sound so good. They have you give a deposit, and they're communicating back and forth. They're telling you about the animal and sending you more pictures. Before you know it, you're kind of already in love with this animal that you've not seen. They let you know that they're across the country or whatever, and particularly due to the pandemic, they're going to have to ship the animal. You can't come get it. Once that happens, so here you paid for the animal, then they get stuck supposedly in shipping, and there's additional fees for that. And before you know it, you've paid a lot of money, and there was no animal to begin with. The easiest way to avoid this scam is if you are on a website and you see an animal, you are going to search the internet for that exact picture. And the telltale sign is when that picture comes up in multiple websites, because the scammers just continue to use the same picture over and over and over again. So if you don't know how to do that, I'm sure somebody can teach you that. And that's, we can actually do another presentation at a later date of some practical ways to, avoid scams by, doing a pic search, going to a website where you can see how old a website actually is. Was this website just created, a week ago? Is it out of China? There's all kinds of tools, simple tools that you can use. But the one for pet scams is if you do a pic search, and if it pops up in more than one place, it's a scam. And we're going to fly through these because we've already talked about that. I do want to show you, according to our research, the riskiest scams by age.
And I was actually, sorry, Diane, I was actually going to ask you if you guys do keep track of those stats. So perfect.
We sure do. We sure do. And we do men versus women, veterans. We have several different demographics, but so college students versus not. So if you can see, online purchase was the top scam for the for younger age groups. Now, as we age, we get a little, hopefully, more wisdom and stuff, and hopefully can smell or spot an online scam a little quicker than the younger folks. But again, it's all about exposure. Mm-hmm. People ages 18 to 24. I know my daughter's 24, and while she goes to the store, she orders so much online. So it goes back to exposure. They constantly have their device in their hand, and they are constantly being exposed, whether it's through social media, websites, or whatever, emails, text. It's just exposure. So as we get older, we have a little bit less exposure to that. But as you can see, we're looking at the romance scam again, and the travel vacation timeshare. Travel vacation timeshare was hot last year because a lot of people could not travel, and they needed to get rid of their timeshare or their prepaid vacations that they had paid for and booked, and they were wanting to unload those. Some places were really good about cancellation, others not so much. So that's why that really bumped up for the older age group, but particularly for the timeshare. We have a great paper, research paper that we did on timeshare scams. If you have a timeshare, you're interested in buying one, or that somebody's interested in purchasing one, please contact us so we can get that information in your hand. It's a very good research paper on how the whole kind of industry operates. And not saying that it's a scam industry, but there are bad actors in that field. So just skipping ahead as much as I can, because I know we're running low on time. As you can see here, the susceptibility for younger folks is higher. And again, it's basically due to exposure. So while we feel like many times seniors fall for this more often, our research kind of shows a little bit different, particularly in 2020. The susceptibility was higher for younger people, going back to that exposure online. But as you also see, the exposure is higher, but the median loss, while it's kind of high and then it goes back down, once we start aging, it goes back up again. Seniors, pretty much, it boils down to many times have more money to lose than an 18 to 24-year-old. And that's why, while our susceptibility and our exposure may not be as much as young people, as we age, we tend to lose more than they do, because what they might be scammed on a, a $25 bathing suit that they saw on social media. Seniors are getting scammed through timeshare, home improvement, investment opportunities, things of that nature, more of the high dollar. So the means of contact for people that had a monetary loss, as you can tell, 31.9% is website. And this is people, when they want to go buy something, they're just sitting down and Googling. They're not going directly to Amazon. They're not going directly to Walmart or whatever. They're Googling because maybe they've already been to Amazon and they've already been to Walmart and there's no hand sanitizer to be found. So they just start Googling hand sanitizer and all these things pop up. And a lot of these websites can be scam websites. So that's how that was so big last year. And then followed by social media. Scammers, putting in ads on social media. Just because you see something advertised on social media does not mean it's legit. And even my husband fell for this. I was so upset with him. Saw a charge on the card. I'm like, what did you do? What did you buy? He said, oh, these great shorts. I'm going to love them, blah, blah, blah. Never came. So I disputed it through the credit card. Well, when they finally did come, he's an extra large. And these pants were maybe 8 inches wide and like maybe 10 inches tall. Streams all over them. They were horrible. They were in horrible shape. And they only came after we, like I said, disputed the charge, and the charge card contacted them, and that's when we miraculously got our mailing. But they were garbage. Now here's the thing: if you don't remember anything else today, remember this: we always recommend when you shop online to use a major credit card because they have protections. But let me also tell you this: that is not a guarantee. If you are scammed, that you will get your money back. There are protections there for you, but there is even a major credit card a company that is advertising right now. And if you'll notice the wording, they say, we will never hold you responsible for unauthorized purchases. And that is great. But here's the thing: when you give a scammer your credit card for a purchase, you are authorizing them to charge it.
Mm-hmm.
You really gave your information. They didn't steal it. It wasn't a data breach or something like that. So we are seeing major credit card companies becoming a lot more tighter on those chargebacks. And basically they're saying, you readily gave your credit card information, you got a product, the charge sticks. So that's why you have to do your due diligence. Some people are just, thinking, well, if it doesn't come, if it's a scam, I'll just dispute the charge. But that is not what we are seeing as far as these credit card companies here in the last couple of years. They're losing so much money to these scammers. And ultimately, you gave the number, it was your card. The responsibility falls on you. So keep that in mind. Using your credit card is not full protection when you're purchasing online. I want to wrap this up real quick. The most impersonated companies last year, you can see number 2 is Amazon. And that's, again, just people, instead of going to Amazon.com or whatever, they Google Amazon. This pops up. They ran an ad or whatever, kind of puts it up towards the top. And people click on that and it's not the actual Amazon. Or they get a call or a text or an email or whatever representing themselves to be Amazon. And that's a good thing for scammers to do because so many people are ordering from Amazon. They know they're going to hit somebody eventually that, ordered from Amazon. Mm-hmm. And they're using that to say, well, you have a delay, or we need to confirm your credit card, whatever it might be. But Amazon was number 2 last year. And of course, behind Social Security Administration, which we've all gotten those calls, supposedly that our Social Security number has been, targeted, and, they're going to withhold our checks and all this other stuff. Most people are pretty good now knowing that's a scam. Factors that increase likelihood of losing money, and this was so important last year: feeling financial distress. Even, if you were retired and had no income interruption or anything, if your children did, your grandchildren, it was just a stressful time. And a lot of that was tied to finances. Feeling lonely. I don't even have to go there, because we all know what we're talking about there.
Mhm.
It was just a rough year. And panicking during stressful situations. For those that did get hit financially, or maybe even got sick. Both my parents were sick. It was a stressful time. Not to be able to take care of my parents. Thankfully they didn't end up in the hospital or anything, but it was stressful for them and us. And if I'm worried about my parents, I may be more likely to not be paying as much attention when I am online, or I'm getting that phone call from a scammer. So there was several factors that 2020 and the pandemic, it was just a breeding ground for stuff like this, because, we were so at risk. And then protective factors that can reduce the scam of being, other protective factors that reduce likelihood of losing money. How's about that? Asking questions. If you're not real sure what's going on, scammers love to go fast and quick and kind of get you confused and stuff. If you don't understand, slow it down. If they are not being cooperative and explaining something to you, that is a red flag. And then let's see, believing individuals can influence and empower their own lives. We don't have to live with a victim mentality, even if you have been scammed, even several times. No, I can learn to prevent this. I'm not a dummy because I fell for this. It happens to all of us. It happens to doctors. It happens to lawyers. It happens to politicians. It happens to all of us. So knowing, if I educate myself a little bit more and do some due diligence, I can prevent this from happening. Let's see here. Understanding general scammer tactics can help you avoid scams. And that's going back to visiting our scam tracker and reading what people, how they were contacted, what was the goal or they thought of the scammer, and the words that were used, the story that was used, how it was presented to them. When you read that stuff, then when it happens to you, you recognize it because you remember reading about that or hearing about that. Follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Follow that. And again, we share these stories, we share this information. So when you're exposed to that scam, you've heard of that scam and wait a minute, I've heard of this, and you can slow it down and then do your investigating. But that's the big thing, is knowing the tactics that they use and understanding what those are. What can you do to help? Well, again, you can follow us on social media. When you see something really good, which is all good, be sure to share it with your friends, your family. If you contact us with a request for these reports, after you read them, forward them on. Especially, if it's electronic, forward it to your friends. And, there's no charge for consumers to use our services. We have tons and tons of information. But, if you have a few minutes, again, go to that scamtracker.org, read that information, what's going on in your area. So, that's it. Oh, there we go. So I'm going to quit sharing here. I don't know how I quit sharing.
All right. Well, we will figure this out.
Okay. Thank you.
We will go.
Oh, you know what?
Did that work? Did you close out?
Oh, I got it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. So
no, you're fine.
And I know I was talking really fast. So if you have any questions, the viewers later on, again, feel free to call us. Our phones are usually on 8:30 to 4 o'clock every day, or Monday through Friday. And that number is 317-488-2222. You can contact us through social media. You can shoot us an email. But we're more than happy to try to answer those questions, give you a report on a business, check out a charity. But yeah, just if you have any questions on this, feel free to call us or shoot me a question, and I'll try to get the information to you as quickly as I can.
Perfect. Wow. No, thank you, Diane. Yeah, you gave us a lot of great information. Especially, you don't really realize how much COVID has impacted individuals, especially, on that in that aspect. But as you were doing your presentation, I was thinking, wow, because my phones have picked up, the calls have came through more frequently. A lot of unidentified numbers, potential spam that comes through, even on my work phone, it's coming through. But I've noticed too, though, that they're getting very smart, though, that they can trace your calls. And, and if you block out those numbers, if you don't identify the number, and which is something, though, that I encourage individuals to do when I'm doing my weekly sessions and talking, about scams and frauds, if you don't recognize the number, block it out. If it's important, they will try another way to get you. But the scammers, they're brilliant, because I know, like, for me coming from Illinois, they're picking up other Illinois numbers, from the location that I normally talk to individuals from, trying to get me and trade to answer that call. So they're trying to find every avenue.
Oh, yeah. And technology is so cheap and freely accessible, even to the scammers that most of the time are out of the country. But it's at their fingertips, and it's cheap. And what's successful is they turn around and sell it to other scammers. So they have all this access to our numbers, our information. They can robocall, they can cloak their numbers, just because it's so cheap and easy. And now,
exactly.
And they just take full advantage of it. So yes, they are very good at what they do.
They have definitely ramped it up. I know that.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
Yeah. And I know even, I had never been a victim of fraud or anything up until just a few months ago. It was a Friday night, and my husband, he works swing shift. And so he was sleeping before going to work, and noticed, though, that I had an alert on my phone, because, from our bank account, I get all the alerts of different transactions. And, it's 10 o'clock at night, and I noticed this transaction going through on my phone. I'm like, what in the world? And I see this. So I asked my husband when he woke up, I said, did you purchase anything? He's like, nope, haven't today. And then I get another transaction that came through as it was trying to go back as a positive on my account as a reversal. And I was like, okay, that's a red flag. So I immediately get into my account and I transfer my funds, because I thought it was an odd transaction. So I transfer everything over. And on that Saturday morning, I called the bank and I say, this is what happened. This is what I think is going on. And it took a few weeks for us to figure everything out. But what the individual did was, they created a Venmo account in my name. They got my information some way, somehow, which I don't release that information. I don't have it on Facebook. I don't share it out with anyone. And, but somehow they must have got my date of birth, created a Venmo account, and did that transaction that way and everything. But what red flagged me, though, was the decrease of the fund, and then them trying to put it back on. That was my red flag. But if you don't get those alerts on your phone, or you don't get those, you're not going to know for days, if you're not checking out your accounts or anything. But yeah, we figured out, though, that it had to have been, and through Facebook, obviously I am on Facebook because of work and everything as well. But, through my personal account, we're thinking maybe I accidentally clicked on something, because as you're scrolling, it can easily.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, though, that it must have went behind the scenes that way. And that's how the individual got my information. you know, some way, somehow through an account. You know, and this was a newer account too, because like I said, we had just moved here and yeah, but
it is mind-boggling when you hear
It
stories
is.
like that. It's like, how did they do that?
Yeah, yeah.
They can. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is that so much of our information is out there. If you've never Googled just your name,
Yeah.
it is scary because you can find out, you know, if you Google somebody you really don't know very well, how many kids they have, how old their kids are, all this information. And a couple of years ago, I was warned about a scam from a sheriff on the in Anderson, I think, talking about the obituary scam. And I'll try to kind of wrap up with this is, you know, when I was a kid, and I've always enjoyed reading the paper, but reading obituaries, they were, you know, this big.
Right.
And now they're, you know, we put so much in there. So
Yes.
what happens is, and it's not the scam of they know you're not home, you're at the funeral. It's the scam of you put all your loved ones, you know, that remain, and that opens them up to being contacted by people representing themselves, be with insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
There is some kind of policy out there that you were unaware of because they know where he worked or she that passed because it's in the obituary. They know the name, they know the spouses, they know so much. And when they're on the phone, they're so convincing because they have this information that they got from the obituary.
Exactly.
And so you know, sometimes after, you know, a week or so after a death, you're still in a state of shock and you're not thinking clearly. And here, you know, let's say dad's, you know, employer had this small insurance policy we didn't know anything about. Mom didn't even know anything about it. It's only a couple thousand, but yeah. And they'll expedite the funds, you know, for bucks, you know, give us your credit card and we'll expedite the check. We'll have it to you this week. I just need a few more things to confirm this and we'll get this check out to you, or we'll put it right in your account. What's your bank account number? And people do it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know,
Yeah.
and
it's
you
all
don't
because
realize, yeah, you know, individuals don't really realize though that, you know, although you're not releasing your date of birth or your social security number, different things like that, there are still other avenues of getting through to find out that information, you know?
Yes. And I've had seniors tell me, well, I'm on social media, so I don't have to worry about that. It doesn't matter.
Exactly.
If you've never had 1 ounce or never even been on a computer, you still have an internet life unaware of. So be mindful of that. Just because somebody is telling you some things about you that you wouldn't think most people would know, doesn't mean that they're legitimate.
Exactly. Yeah, no. And wrapping up with this, another thing though that did come to my mind quickly is, you know, obviously, you know, encouragement of individuals, you know, getting vaccinated for COVID. But you see many individuals posting their cards that they're being vaccinated on social media, you know, and that is being discouraged because your date of birth is on there, you know, your full name is on there. So, you know, please, you know, be smart, you know, of what you are posting because that information is going out and that can put you, you know, at being a victim of fraud and a scam. So.
And once it's out there, it's out there. Even if you delete that photo, it was out there and it has a trail. And scammers and the dark web, I don't know if most people know what the dark web is, but it's a scary place. And the scammers know they trade the information, they sell it and all that. So once it's out there, it's out there.
Exactly. Yeah. Just be cautious, be smart of what you're posting out.
Yeah. And if you ever again question anything, call us. That's what we're here for. We're advancing trust in the marketplace. And again, a lot of that is consumer education. Don't ever agree to anything on the phone. If you have a call, even if you're 100% convinced it's legitimate, there's no harm in saying, I'll call you back. And
exactly.
Verifying that number and then calling them back because very few things in life have to be decided right now.
That's right. That's right. Yep. No, it's better to be safe than sorry.
That's right.
Yeah. So, wow. Well, thank you again, Diane, for your time. We do appreciate it today. Wonderful presentation, a lot of information. You definitely gave us all the answers as far as, you know, the demographics and stats with ages and everything. Because like I said, that was one of the questions I was going to ask is, if you guys are able to break that down, because it is always great to see, what age brackets, are the most vulnerable. And hopefully though, we can have you back to do some more presentations and, let us know what's going on with the Better Business Bureau of Central Indiana.
No, I'd love to anytime.
All
Everybody
right.
stay safe, and it's been a pleasure presenting to you today. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Diane. We will talk soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, viewers. Don't forget, check out LifeStream to see what's going on in our world. You can either check out through Facebook or go to our website and see what we have going on. As a reminder, we cover 12 counties. Not every county always looks the same with the services that we offer. So it's best to call in and see the dates and times of different programs that are being offered. So, all right. Thank you again, Diane. And thank you, everyone. Stay safe. And until next time.
Bye.
Thanks, Diane.